So the conversation I had with myself to figure out what the problem was in my personal and professional development kind of went like this. Hey, how we organize our time matters, how we design routines matter, how we build systems and make progress easier matters. A lot of that stuff is helpful, Brian. Um, Understanding the structure and how to see things different is great because then you start noticing patterns. So I'm happy that we're noticing patterns now. And now that we're noticing patterns, we can see why outcomes are repeating themselves. You know what's repeating itself? Consistency is lacking. Bottlenecks have not changed. And overall, we're in the same place that we were before. So, in the midst of these patterns and identifying all the things that get in the way of the consistency that are the true hurdles and bottlenecks that are slowing down progress, and also the alignment on markers that work with personal and professional development, there's a moment where, again, I noticed that everything I said before matters: structure, routine, uh, systems. But here's the one thing that matters more than all of those things. And that thing is you, right? So, Brian, you have to make the call. You have to make the cold call. You have to send the message. You have to send the email. You have to be the one that follows up. You have to be the one that follows through. You have to be the one that gets rejected and then reaches out again. You have to be the one that gets rejected and then reaches out to someone else. You have to be the one that presents and pitches, gets rejected, and then go to a different company to present and pitch. You have to be the one that keeps researching. You have to be the one that keeps speaking. You have to be the one that keeps sending the message. You have to be the one that keeps sending the email. You have to be the one that makes the call. You have to be the one that makes the cold call. Um, no system can really do that for you, Brian. So at the end of the day, you have to realize and be honest. Yeah, bro, it's just you. And sometimes I wonder if you lean too heavy on the idea of systems because it feels safer. It feels like you're being productive. It feels like you're learning and educating yourself, and you have a legitimate excuse when talking to others that you're working through something because it gives you a goalpost that you can move. Oh, I'm building a system. I'm building a system, or I'm working on a plan. I'm creating systems, and so yeah, building systems feels productive. Planning feels productive. Organization feels productive. Everything makes you feel better, but the results are still shit. That's the conversation I had with myself, and I had to have it as harsh as that at the end because intellectually I can convince myself of all the reasons why I am exactly where I am, or why I was exactly where I was, and why things weren't rowing in the direction I wanted them to row. And then I could also unpack and say, well, maybe I'm not that serious because I have everything, all these other things going on. I'm at capacity. I don't really see or have a heart for this. But then I had to be honest about some of these things that I always looked at or peeked over the fence at, or kind of was envious that other people were doing good at it. And here's the thing that really made me take a step back. My envy of other people doing good was not necessarily their growth, their money, their recognition, their popularity, their success. It was just their presence and being in spaces and showing up consistently in spaces that I wanted to show up in. Right. And this could be anything. This could be the gym. This could be your diet. This could be your professional network, your personal network, your community, church, volunteering, hobbies. There could be so many different things where you actually really want to be present and you aren't really putting the time in. But every now and then you really go over there for a couple of weeks. You feel really great when you put the time and work in. You feel better than before, and you let those emotions carry you until the next down swing comes emotionally, or until the next shitty week at work, or until the next crappy day with money, right? And so I had to acknowledge that the things that I peek over the fence at, the things that I look at, the things I keep uh, putting a little time in and then going away and putting a little time in, then sitting it down for a minute. I need those things because for some reason, for whatever reason, they're in my heart or they're in my head. And even if they're not tied to a number or a marker for me, for whatever reason, whatever it does for me creatively or emotionally is important to my livelihood, my mental health, right? And so I think it's okay to be in spaces, podcasting, for instance. I have friends who all want to set up podcasts and take it serious. And they're not looking to become the biggest podcast community or the biggest podcast channel, but it's a creative project where one, they get to talk to their friends. So you have community and sharing and brotherhood and connection. Two, it's something to do outside of work, outside of their family, outside of all these labels that they have. So then there's this freedom in parameters for them. And then three, it's just something that makes them feel better and makes them feel productive, right? And so it could be something as simple as that. But we will let someone who has a big podcast or someone who has a super cut up body or someone who has a really nice dirt bike or whatever the case, we'll let people who have the nice thing and taking it serious, you'll let that be the reason why you don't take it serious, or you'll not take it serious and then distance yourself from those type of communities because you know you're not taking it serious. And both of those are a disservice to you. So I want to say, regardless of systems, regardless of planning, regardless of organization, sometimes it's just you, right? You see the structure. You already know because you've been doing this back and forth for years. You know the environment because you've been back and forth for years. But you still have to decide inside how you're going to move and how you're going to be inside this community or this space, right? So that's something I sit with often. And now I've decided to jump more into those spaces, whatever that is, and just be consistent for whatever anything is. You can even look back on this channel for, I'll tell you how I got to even starting this channel. One day I was sitting with a friend and he was just chilling and we were working on some things and he really didn't want to share. And I was like, hey bro, okay, cool. Like I see you grinding. Hey, don't stay lonely in that though, because I know how you get. Then you get beyond your scope. Then because you don't want to share information, you don't get the information you need or the help you need. Then you fall flat. So that's literally how the idea of don't stay lonely came to me. And you can see I've posted a video once here, once there, very inconsistent. And I blamed it on a bunch of other things, but never did long form because I thought sitting down and speaking long enough, I would be found out that I'm not that great of a speaker. So all these things have prevented me from just saying, hey, you know what? I really need this because maybe that wasn't about him. Maybe it was for me. Maybe I'm the one who doesn't need to stay lonely in my journey. So let me put my thoughts and commit my thoughts to paper and to video and just share it and be vulnerable. Maybe that's for me and wasn't for him necessarily. So that's literally how I got to this space. And I let a bunch of times seeing people with cameras or their setup, all these things tell me and signal to me, oh, you're not ready, or you got to get to this level before you do that, or you got to have all these things together before you just jump on camera. And then finally one day, I would say maybe about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I was like, bruh, I'm gonna use this webcam I got, I'm gonna use my laptop, I'm gonna use my camera on my phone, and I'm just gonna kind of get my thoughts out, and I hope I get better over time, and I hope I become more valuable to the people who listen over time. Right now, that whole you gotta have this set up and this and that, I'm, as much as I use that as an excuse, now I use that as fire and fuel to say, okay, one day I'm gonna get there, but until then, I'm just gonna use what I got. So that's how I got here. And I don't want to ramble too long, but I want to say you got to decide how you're going to move inside these systems or these hobbies or these companies or your goals, your dreams. whatever you decide, you have to decide how you're going to move inside it, how you're going to pursue it, how you are going to show up to get what you want, and how you are going to be honest with yourself so that you can move freely, consistently, and strategically in these spaces. Because even I think a lot of people don't want to be strategic because it takes the fun out of things, but sometimes not having structure and not having a plan almost makes you resent yourself, because then what happens is you will see somebody who just showed up 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever, twice a month when you didn't. And you will resent yourself because you know at that time when you could have been putting in work, you were watching TV or playing a video game, or doing nothing. And all of those things are fine if that is your plan. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're playing video games, nothing wrong with that if that's your plan. But what I'm saying is you start to resent and be mad because you realize you just, not only did you not have a plan, you didn't pursue something that you liked, right? You turned on the TV out of habit. You played the video game to escape instead of lean into something that made you feel better. So, another long video of me talking in circles, trying to share my insight from my personal life. Hopefully that helps you. Like, hopefully you understand sometimes it's just you. Sometimes we have everything we need, and we gotta get past the idea of we need more to make this work. Perfect conditions are never going to be perfect. Perfect conditions are not coming. You got to be okay with working with imperfection and believing in yourself and be comfortable enough with yourself to do what you want to do so that you get what you want out of life. It doesn't have to be money, it doesn't have to be freedom or whatever it is, but this hang up that you have, there's so much more for you on the other side of it. And so hopefully you get there as I'm trying to. So like, let's just be honest with each other. Let's continue to push forward. And sometimes you got to acknowledge I have all I need, but it's me. And now we got to get out of our own way. Peace.